Hi, this is Elliot Wave Sage. I want to go ahead and do a market update. And like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Market was pretty choppy today. We're looking for that push lower, and there's a chance we could be in this 1-2, where tomorrow we could see a pretty significant day of selling. The other alternative is we extend in the connector that I have here. Either way, I do expect to see more downside in the market. Uh, it's really a coin flip which scenario I favor this push higher because the dollar really does need to retrace a little bit to the downside. But it wouldn't surprise me if this doesn't happen and we just start heading lower. We'll see this play out tomorrow. So either way, it's really not a good setup. We could put this A here and put the B a little bit higher, or I could call it finished like that. So it's just not a good setup, but we should go lower. Almost seems pretty likely. And then the technology sector, again, you got three swings. This could be a 2 here. That's finished. We also could come up here at 380. So again, a couple opportunities, but if you look at the RSI and how significant we dropped, if we were to come up here, we would need an even more catastrophic drop than we got on that reversal. So I think it seems less likely that we'll pump higher in the NASDAQ, but then, like I said, there's others that are really just a coin flip if we go higher. So this is just looking for the next piece of news to justify the move lower. PCE comes out later this week, and if that comes in hot, that would definitely drop the markets, but it may be something else. So that's how I look at it. We should see more downside coming, and it could happen at any moment. And I can't stress enough the conditions the market is in. Think of it as like a forest fire that's had dry tinder, built up for years and years, and the conditions are ripe for a massive, fire, a catastrophe fire. That's kind of how the market's set up right now. The market has these conditions where you have a parabolic advance that essentially has gone on, very little, no bear market, secular bear market, and then you have a shorter time frame, here with really a failed bottom, and then you had a failed breakout. You have one, two, a third swing, which is usually the most significant, and it's called the crash wave. And you're coming into a crash wave, and now you have the first pullback. So you have a third of a third. You have a third of a third. So there's no guarantee. It's just going to just kind of trickle down here and back off to new highs. It can easily do something more severe because the conditions are right for it, where you go down like that and come back here, and then we ultimately come back to these new lows. And this move will blow through, these levels. Will blow through the 400. We'd probably come down to 380. Technology, blow through this, probably come back down to 299. So that can happen before you realize what happened. So if you're trying to I want to play this bounce, I want to play, and get this, and I'm going to go long here, you are really, you're playing a dangerous game because the conditions are ripe for, I call it a catastrophe or market accident. There's a lot of terminology being used, but the conditions are there. Can the bears step up and take advantage of it? They failed every time. We've had this setup since this bear market. Every time they failed. So maybe tomorrow will be no different, and they'll fail again, and we will pump in this X. And I do think if we can get this upside in X like that, the likelihood of this coming down here is very small. Then we may get another low, which I think we will, and then more than likely we have another wave higher. So that's just my thinking. If we can make another attempt to some of these higher highs, if we can come up here like that, then I think it makes these areas very unlikely, and maybe we get to like 420 if we're lucky, and then we would bounce. So I think that's kind of how I look at it. If we're supposed to crash, and you all believe in this crash scenario, or you follow some people that are like, it's the end of the grand super cycle and all hell's gonna break loose, the market shouldn't bounce like this. It should start dropping, you know, exponential. Like it should just drop, and people will not know why. But we don't really see that. We still see a lot of buy the dip behavior, a lot of buy-in, but we didn't make a new high, so that's interesting. A lot of buy-in today, but couldn't get over. But anyway, the conditions are there for a market catastrophe. I can't tell you. It's a 3 of a 3 of a 3. And you just have to use your imagination. What cycle degree are we in for a correction? So that's the conditions. But what happens, we'll know soon enough. And this will probably need to take to sometime in October to play out. Okay, so that's it. There's really not much to show here. The Hang Seng, rallied. They were, the government was ordered to buy, ordered banks and funds to buy stocks, but that faded and didn't last very long. Now it's trying to come back up. If we could take that high out, that would extend X again. So right now, it may have maybe done, ready for its next leg lower. Something like that. Bitcoin is lost for direction. It's directionless again, and if we look at the from the RSI standpoint, where we are with the cycle, we're still in a wave 4. So I would just call this a wave 4, and maybe we come higher and go lower and go higher and then down, something like that, or we just have a 3-wave move and a connector, and we just go down to 20. There's too many. I don't like trading Bitcoin right now. I'm staying away from it. I don't really want to trade it here anymore. I don't even want to buy that here. I'd rather be on the sidelines for now until the conditions are better, market conditions are better. Oil, so mentioned, this could still be a 3-swing move, and we could put X here and kind of shift things around. We don't necessarily need this 5th wave up, and if we don't get it soon, then it's in. That'll be very bearish for the market. Deflationary. Gold, it's if this is either finished here, and it's done into, and it's going to surprise everyone to the upside, or we're going to have another leg lower, and this is should be a connector that's about to finish. So this would be a W here, WX. So this would be like a more conservative interpretation of where we are with everything. Something like this. If that's the case, we should be dropping at any moment. That'd be the dollar strengthening. Silver is really tough to guess. I won't even try it. But more than likely, if gold will go down, so will silver. The 2-year wants to break out and finish this 5th wave, and then you'll have an impulse, and we should pull back on that and then go higher. The other alternative, it's a 1-2, 1-2, and we really break out to the upside. One thing there's a really strong correlation between rates and the market, even more so than the dollar or the yen or anything. So pretty much as we traded sideways, we were in a bull market in the indices. As we traded up in rates, we were in a bear market in the indices. Sideways, we're back in a bull. And now we started turning down. So if you believe we're going to go back and finish that connector, then chances are we're going to break up higher in rates, and we're going to test this 8.5% level towards the end of 2024. Hard to believe, but this is what the chart says, not what I wish it to be. Now, the other alternative is we do pull back, and that again should be bullish for the market. So perhaps we can, fall a little bit and then pull back to rise, and then we have our, market next leg lower. But no matter what happens here, this is coming, and when this happens, the market will probably be a lot lower in some areas, in some sectors than it is today. The 10-year, I have it finishing as 5 and then a massive pullback down to 3%. And since we broke that high, we should extend higher again to levels that people can't fathom. But the other alternative is this fifth wave just keeps extending, and so there's this pullback isn't guaranteed. But this kind of would be like a risk off, right? The long end of the curve, people panicking, and then everything goes higher in rates. The dollar index, I believe, is still going upside. It's really tricky structure. I have it right now as this like W, X, and Y, and we need to come up to 107. So I'm looking for that. It's a very shallow connector. There's a chance it could drop, which I think it wouldn't surprise me to see that, and that would be able to get that market to go a little bit higher before we get that final leg lower to SPY like 420. This scenario, if you believe in the market crash, then this is the scenario you want to see, and we should actually go through 109 and higher if that were to happen. Okay. So the market overall is at an inflection point again. The bears, it's on the table, it's on the tee for you, and they always seem to fail every time they get the 3 of 3 setup. On the downside, they have it now. And the question is, will they actually follow through this time, or will they blow it once again and extend this connector wave for another months and months and months? Because, like I said, I think if we do rally from here, then the likelihood of a deep drop is very minimal. I believe you'll get a bounce. We would fail, and then once we fail there, we should rally up to 510. And then we could see the catastrophe later in 24. That's kind of the thinking that I'm seeing. But you'll have to do what's best for you. I think you just have to just kind of see what I think the market's searching for news. This week you could have a couple key reports, but it could be a black swan. We never know with the market and how it interprets it. Let's take a look at the VIX. So the VIX finished this 3-wave move, and now it's a 3-wave connector. It could still drop. This could be more market upside, but then I do see this move higher and then breaking out, finally breaking out for now to 26. This is kind of what I'm seeing: a left shoulder, a head, and a right shoulder, and then we break out. And then, like I said, then it's either SPY 510, and then we break out into these areas, or it's just game over, and we just, the VIX goes parabolic, and finally ends all this consolidation. So really tough to say where we're going to go, but I think this seems pretty likely path for the VIX. So maybe a little more downside to 1417, 1412. And then we come out of this. So then just kind of looking at some of the other stocks. Let's go to tech. Any clues out there? For tech, for the most part, was green. Looking for that crowdsource to drop. It was starting to go down. Amazon looking weak. Tesla. Tesla could see a little more upside in this X. that may be hinting the market could go higher a little bit. And then I do think it has another a swing down, another swing down. Microsoft is in this buy area. As long as that low holds, it could go to 280. If it swings up, then we'll just raise the target. And like I said, just kind of click through these and see if there's anything of note. Apple, Apple this beat could come up like that. So I was saying the market could still have some upside until we get some news. But if you get this upside, then the likelihood of some super crash I don't think is likely. Just my thoughts on it, but I could be wrong. Nvidia kind of again wants to go lower, just needs a reason to. So tech for the most part was pretty positive today. All right, so then let's go to some of the other ones, commodities, and nothing to see. I'm looking for some things that had some sell-offs that we can look at. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything that interests me. So let's look at the SQQ. So SQQ could be finished here, ready to make our move to 23.50. The other alternative is we come back down and take another swing lower, like that, and then come up. That's Dow's another one. It can hold this B here. If not, it come down to 23.26, and then up to maybe as high as 27. How's the TQQ doing? So TQQ, we came down, so this target would be different. So we could come out of this, and then lower, right? And lower. So this was a dip buy, pump, got out, we're back. Now it's trying to figure out what to do. And so if this rally were to fail into TQQ, the next opportunity to buy it and pick it up would be at 29.37 in this area. If we got down here, if we just fail. So that's the next opportunity to pick up TQQ for even a bigger bounce. Probably a back test of this trend line, which would be good. So it's just something to keep an eye on. TQQ seems likely. Here's your 4, here's your 2, somewhere around here, your pocket. So yeah, I mean, I think this is going to go lower. The question is, will we come up? And if we do come up, then the target just raises the target a little bit. Want is sitting in this buy area. It tried to come out. If it fails, it'll head to 19. So I'm just trying to get my shopping list ready, guys. If things fail, healthcare is really not looking all that great to me. Alumina's really breaking down, but getting into a low, I would look for that like here, but I won't be a buyer, but I am watching it, just charting it out of curiosity. mRNA, again, everyone's favorite. Still trying to get above this area. I just can't seem to do it. We'll see if we go into wave 3 to the downside tomorrow. Start this wave 5. Then I know some people like me to cover China, so NEO as one. I think they have earnings. I said watch for this this move higher out of it, this X, and it kind of fools everybody. If it invalidates, it looks like it's invalidating. So what I would look for is a pump and then a failure of some kind. So let's give a target area. Target area would be 1151 in this area. So if it spikes into this area that I have highlighted, that could be a potential short opportunity, and that would mature this right shoulder on this pattern for the breakdown to come later in the next month or two. So that's the trade setup in Neo. It's a short setup if it gets into this area. But I wouldn't take my chances because it could still, be done like here in a 1-2 and just drop. So it's really, I'm not saying like you want to buy it. You just react to the news if it does decide to do that. Okay, let's take a look at YNN. What's it doing? Sure why my chart got wiped out. So here's a problem, like I said, with YNN and why China is so bearish. You made a lower low here, and you have a connector, and you have a one leg down, a connector with a lower low. So therefore, we should swing down to 260, but then that would break this low, you see? And then this is a connector for this entire leg all the way up from here, right? That's the connector. And so then if you're going to come down to here and you're going to break that, then, another way to target where you're going to be is at 768. So basically, you're going to be somewhere in there. So YNN is probably heading to this area I have shaded at some point in the next, 2 to 3 months. And if that's the case, it's pretty bearish, guys, for the market because of the way the structures have broken, the way they have broken. It's just the way it is, It's just the way it goes. It's what it's saying. The chart's saying it's going lower. Chart's saying it's going lower. And we'll see how it does in the next couple days. This looks impulsive. Could it still be in a connector? It's possible. But even if it's in a connector, it would fail. It's still going to fail and come down and break this low and should come down to this area. So I wish I had a little bit better news for the market. It's just the way it goes. Things broke technically with the weekly cycles ended, and it's just the market is now in a weekly cycle lower. And until that plays out, you really can't really say the market's going to go higher. But at some point, that weekly cycle should finish, and when it does, then we should be ready for a bounce, hopefully from this area. But if the weekly cycle finishes down here, then yes, we'll probably bounce, but then I'd be really cautious about buying the dip unless that divergence got erased in a capitulation sell-off. So very interesting time. We could be on a verge of a historic market crash in the next 30 days. The setup is actually showing itself any day. In fact, you could call this a 3 swing of a third if we don't get this pop tomorrow. If we get this pop, then we probably have toward the end of the week, right after Labor Day, before we get this final leg lower. So it'll be very interesting to see how we trade the next 24 to 48 hours. Okay, guys, that's all I've got, and good luck trading.